Alright, what's good? Mad Scientist here. Decided to start doing some of these tutorials, seeing if I can help some of you cats out. I'm going to do a real quick one, real simple one. Basically, I'm just going to show you guys how I lay out a melody. This is not the way to lay out a melody. I don't know if that actually exists or not, but this is just how I'm doing it right now at this time. I also apologize in advance if you hear any sort of yelling, screaming, dogs barking in the background or anything like that. You know, I got a family and that's what happens in my house. First, let's see here. I like to utilize this scaler here. Pull this over. This is just a little cheat sheet. It's not a necessity to use this, but it basically gives me all of the scales in a place to where I can drag and drop them in for where I'm using them at. And then I also have got my Omnisphere here loaded up, the preset piano that I happen to like the sound of. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out a scale that I want to use. I have a small list of scales that I really dig. I like minor scales. I like the emotional sounds of them. And I've got a list of particular minors that I always like to utilize. I don't know, let's use a D minor. Alright, so I'll go here, I'll go to the D, and here I will pick out the minor scale, and then boom, it drops. You see, serious, sad, emotional, sentimental. Not my mood whatsoever, but for some reason these particular scales speak to me. So drops it in, and there's the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh, and so on. So I'm not going to go into how to utilize scaler, and any sort of detail at all, although I highly suggest picking it up. It's not a necessity at all. You can read all of the same information off of Google. I think this thing cost me like $40 or something like that, and it's very handy. It's got all kinds of other things too. Maybe I'll do something on that some other time. So there is some chord progressions that are relatively popular, which means that they work with each other. So one of those is being the 1-4-5 progression. That's the first, the fourth, and the fifth, right? So I'm gonna just drop these in like so, and then finish it with a 1, right? So just a little four piece combo there. And drop, you see, just drag and drop it right onto my Omnisphere. And there it is. There's the progression. Alright, nothing too fancy or special. So here is where I like to change things up. Okay, so I'm going to take the center, and this is, I believe, called inversions, where you change the octave of one of the chords, but it doesn't change the particular chord. And I like to do this because it kind of spreads out the melody for me, or spreads out the chords. So it's also doing what is called minimizing the leap, making it to where there's not so much of a drastic jump. See, from this E down to this A is a pretty big leap. But if I take the F and I raise it up, it's going to E to the F. It's minimizing the leap there. But you don't have to do it just that way. You can also take this one and pop it up there, which I'd like to do, because now I've still got a 1 and a 1, but they're a little different. So do that. Now it sounds like this. See? very cool. I like it at least. Although it does sound a little empty here because there's nothing really in this low area. But I mean, you can always just do something like that. Thicken it up. So there we go. There's a nice little chord progression. It's still the 1-4-5-1 combo, but now it's a little different. I'm going to now drop this down an octave because I want to create a harmonized melody above this. Right, so there's a little bit more movement going on there. But this is all just experimental here. You just see what sounds good. Yeah, it does not sound bad. I don't know. Let's try that. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that sounds pretty good there. You gotta just hear it out, what sounds good to your ear. Also, then I forgot to mention this in the very beginning. I have a helper turned on. See, let's see, go to this little drop down menu, and then you go to helpers, and then you go to scale highlighting, and then you put it on automatic. Okay, so that way when I drop it in here, if you see up here in this top, it's automatically in the D minor, and then all of these highlighted marks are going to be notes that are in the D minor scale. So I can just, any note that I put in here will technically work, See, it'll technically work within that scale because it's got it highlighted for me. There's other ways of doing this. I've seen guys, save the MIDI of a scale and then drop it into the sampler, so that way you can use the ghost notes, right, from the other. Like, let's see, I'll drop. Whoops. Let's see. These are the ghost notes, right, and you can do that with the scale already laid in. But what I don't particularly like about doing that is that, if I have all of these filled in like this, right? And then I go back to my omnisphere. You see, these notes are filled in, but once you start having, multiple, you can't see where the melody is. You're only going to see these ghost notes, So when you've got multiple channels put in, and you're trying to make maybe a lead melody, to harmonize with this, you're not really able to see it because these ghost notes, they kind of block that. But this leaves it a little bit more open, so I can still see the scale where it's at, and I'm only seeing the notes of the chord and melodies that chord progressions and melodies that I've already put in. So, yeah. So that's the way that I like to do that. So anyways, here's just a super simple chord progression here. So now it's time to just kind of build it up a little bit, right? So what I'll do is I'll take these 4 bars, I'll go ahead and I'll copy them over. to make an 8 bar. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build off of the melody that I've already created here in the second part, right? Sometimes I'll just copy it, you know what I mean, and raise it up, and then I can get rid of what I don't like or whatever. So let's see, I can get rid of this note and this note and this note and this note, right? This might be a little too full, but you might get the point of what I'm talking about. Yeah, see, and just, I mean, it's basically the exact same thing. I'm just, you know, just copying it and bringing it up another octave, so that way it's sounding fuller. The melody, the chord progression all stays exactly the same, but there's movement in that. So I like there to be subtle movement throughout my beats, you know. Okay, so I think I'll add just a little bit of, where do I want this? I want a little ending thing here to make it a little different. See if that works or not. You want it to be able to sound good looping from here to here also. There you go. See, so this travels down the scale and hits here, so it's kind of like a whoop, like a little reset there, right? Alright, so there you go. That's how to do that. Now, you know, this, as you can see down here, is pretty stagnant. You know, there's no movement. So what I like to do is I like to add a little bit of randomization, some strumming, adjust the level scales to kind of give it a little bit of, I don't want to say like a humanized effect, because like when you play the piano, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. It's easier that way, I suppose. So, you know, press Alt R, and it brings up the randomizer, which does all kinds of kooky, crazy things, right? But what I'm using it here for is the velocity and for the panning. See, like the velocity, I can go like this and it just randomly like puts everything on all kinds of crazy places. And if you don't like the way that that's going, you can hit the seed and you can change it up. But basically I'm just looking for a little bit of variation, see, a little bit, so that the notes are hit at different, velocity I guess would be like the strength of which a key is hit, like if I was going to hit it on my keyboard, you know, like a between, I don't know if that's a good enough example. See, it's like louder, I guess, right, with more force. So there's the velocity, and then the panning, of course, is, you know, from the left to right, which is what I meant by it's not really humanizing it, because like if I play the piano, I might hit keys at different velocity, but I'm not going to hit them at different pans, you know. That would be trippy. But anyways, that's what I like to do. I do like to add some of the panning to it, because I feel like it helps the melody to dance around a little bit, you know. See, like, you see here, it's going back and forth, it's going up and down, it's moving around, you know. Like I said, I like subtle movement. So next I'm gonna do the strumzer. Okay, so this is going to adjust where if only if where it's a chord, so you have multiple notes played hit at the same time, not just over each other. They have to all start at the same point, and then it adjusts their starting position. See that's exaggerated there. You can see what I'm talking about, and if it went the other direction, it goes like that, right? Let's go this way, right? But like just a little bit. Like I said, just a little bit, right? The masterpieces and the details, So we accept that. Okay. And then lastly, I don't like when you have like a lot of notes stacked on top of each other, like in the last 4 bars of the 8-bar progression. I don't like how spread out these velocities get. So what I'll do is I'll press Alt X. This brings up the level scaling, right? And you can tighten them up. See how that's kind of tightening them up, like that. I'm sure I could probably just adjust the velocity inside of the strumizer, but you know what? I like this better. So don't give me a hard time about it. All right. So yeah. Anyways, so the multiply, is going to adjust how tight together they are. Right. This is back to normal. And then the offset is going to give me my full up and down, and then I'm not exactly sure what this does. I feel like it does the same thing. I guess maybe it only does it from the center. Okay, I'll have to look into that more because I don't really like messing with stuff without knowing what the hell I'm doing with it. Anyway, yeah, so there we go. And now it's made it, a little bit more, I don't know, creative, different, moving, traveling, some stuff here. Check it out. Okay, so lastly, what I'm going to do is show you guys how to export a MIDI file. Because this is what I'll do sometimes, man. I'll just chill here and I'll just bust out a bunch of these melodies. You know what I mean? Just make like a whole stack of them. That way, when I sit down to do my beats for the week, it's a lot easier. I've got a whole process which I will show you guys in other videos on how I'm able to put out a beat every single day. I release a beat every single day, but that doesn't mean that I spend 8 hours a day in the studio. Hope nobody spends 8 hours making one beat, but anyways, yeah, okay, I'm totally digressing. Here it goes. You hit the drop down menu like this, right? You go to file, you go to export MIDI. Okay, this is the way to do it right here, and it'll open up to wherever you want to open it up to. This happens to be a file I'm using, so I don't know what am I going to name this as? Well, we'll name it Teen Wolf. Why? Because I've gone back and I'm watching that on television. That's why. And then I always like to add the D minor, whatever scale that it's in, because I'm gonna repackage these MIDI melodies and chord progressions and everything, and then I'm gonna sell them for like $5 or something like that, right? I mean, it's the same as selling a loop. Only I like MIDIs better than loops because you can adjust the tempo and you can use it on any instrument that you want, and it's versatile, and you still get that sound of whatever. Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, so there you go. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's it right there. That's how I make a melody, right? That's how you export it into a MIDI file. So, I hope you guys were able to gain something out of that. If so, please subscribe. You can follow me on all of my social links, which I will leave down in the description. Most of them are Mad Scientist 602, right? And I'm also going to leave some links down in the description for some kits, some drum kits, some MIDI kits, and some Omnisphere preset kits that I have made. Alright, so thanks for checking me out. Later.